welcome to the Logjam, ladies and gentlemen. Semifinal week.
Yeah, and you know, some of us got here, and some of us didn't. You know, and I guess that's a shout out to the losers this week.
I'm a loser, baby. So why don't you kill me? There are 6 teams that are not qualified to win the championship this year. We find ourselves amongst the 2 that are still battling out.
Well, congratulations to that.
Congratulations to you, man.
I would think that you know, both of us, you know, hope to be here, and as a part of the Logjam, I think it makes the podcast exciting.
I think it makes it tense. I think you can feel the tension in the air.
I mean, if both of us are sitting here in the toilet bowl, who's watching this? James Embry?
Right?
Nobody.
Exactly. Nobody really watches. I mean, nobody watches us really, but we do have about 12 to 13 views a week, which we're very proud of.
I do. I'm 6 of them.
Carrie watches, but he comes and hangs out, so it's fun. It's fun. You're 6, I'm 2. It is semifinal week. We have 6 teams in the losers. We have Joel and Gary on one side, you and me on the other.
Sure.
That's what's left, right?
I mean, for what we, you know, for all intents and purposes, there's other things going on that I think is, you know, we'll get to the toilet bowl and the first overall pick. These are all exciting things, and there's good matchups there too. But right away, you know, let's concentrate on the 4 teams the final 4. You know, and I think they're great matchups. I think on the one side, seeing Gary get to play Joel, which neither team has a championship. Obviously, Gary's first.
There's something fitting about that for sure.
And then on the other side, there's 2 multiple champions who are, you know, or
one multiple champion trying to get to multiple championships.
It's a great storyline for what's going on. There's no Canadian in the finals for since quite a while. I guess we do have a south of the border contendant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I guess I'm kind of cheering for. You know, I mean,
I think there's some favorite in that game for sure.
Not necessarily to beat Gary. I'm just saying Joel's had a hell of a year, and
but he's also had good teams through the years. He's been competitive through the years, and he is the only original 8 guy that isn't original 7 guy now that doesn't have a championship.
That's what I mean.
there is some sentiment probably behind that hope. Let's take a peek back to last week. Let's see how we got here, and then we'll go back and talk about those in a second. I guess in last week's conversation, we got to talk about the first round of the playoffs.
Well, where would you like to start? Which game would you like
Let's
to
start
start?
Scoregasm Daddy. It's 162. Scoregasm really handily had it. I mean, he was up 60 or 55 going into Monday night's game. There was not a lot of drama. Although, after 2 scores, maybe.
Well, I would say there wasn't a lot of drama, but I would agree with that. But when you put up 162, that's an expectation of a win, in my opinion. And his team performed. Where are we at here? You know, let's live a quick second. You know, 4th in points this year. So and showed up, took Daddy down.
He did. And he's been in that 150 to 160 range a bunch. He's had a couple of 90s, 104s. But getting Calvin Ridley back, that's a big plus. He, at the bottom of his roster this week, had, I think, really something that's going to win you a lot of playoff games. Defense, kicker, even tight end. Had some points.
You know, his quarterback shows up, which you need to happen in the playoffs, and you know, having Aaron Rodgers, that's what, you know, that's a right-in 25 to me.
It is.
Right-in 25.
I felt like when you look at the top of the Scoregasms, there was Rodgers, and it was like, well, how did he get to 160? And then it was like 20, 14, 19 at the bottom. So that could spell it going forward. On Daddy's side, Russ got you 30. Chubb gets you 24, too little too late. But
DK had a good game.
Didn't it? 18 and a half. Like, just nothing clicked. It didn't feel like it was very close. It felt like Scoregasm was ahead the whole way.
I agree.
I think the 0 out of the New Orleans defense, I mean, if you had any chance, that just kills you. You can't get a 0.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, Daddy moves down to play into, you know...
How about picking up Dallas's defense on waivers?
Hey, man, I said it. I said it in the thing from off camera. Dallas's defense was a great play.
Burrow went down. I went for him.
Yeah, it was a nice play.
That's probably the difference in the week, you know.
It's not. He won by 30. It is 20. So I mean, but
for like, you know, the polished pretender.
The Dallas D, the New Orleans split. Like, even if it was closer, that gives you a buffer zone. So that was a nice win. On the other side of the bracket, facing the Fury always is nerve-wracking because of the big play potential of Mahomes and Kelsey. Man, it is a tough day. I was at work, and it kept looking, okay, it's low, and then they start scoring. And when I actually physically was watching when the touchdown happened, I'm like, oh, your heart sinks a little bit. Like, I think the win probability at that point, I was down like 63-37. It was not looking good.
Yeah, well, that's the ride of the playoffs. Like what you're describing right there, the emotions of like that's being vested into what you've put into this time in this league, and you know your ebb and flows of going up and down, and especially playing the Fury, who, by the way, you know, rely a lot on Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce.
He's had Hopkins has been great for a bunch of years, and then we've said it's those guys and nothing. And this week it was
nothing, but
those guys and nothing.
We talked about it last week. You looked at the running backs, and we said, "Hey, Giovanni Bernard, whoever, like here's some suspect areas," and they showed up in that regard, and his main players killed it.
The
role players, they didn't roll.
On a 9-player roster, those 3 guys scored 74% of his points this week. So
there you go.
You can't expect to win games like that, but he has been able to win them.
Yeah.
But it was a relief. I do have to thank the scoregasms for Jonathan Taylor. Came up big. He looks like a fucking beast and maybe a fucking keeper.
He is a beast.
I love having running backs like that.
About time to give him the ball.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess sometimes you have to think. Diggs shows up. I was a little bit afraid of starting Josh Allen against Pittsburgh. Both those, like, I mean, that's the best defense. And again, slow for a half.
At this point, Josh Allen, which is a sleepy, I'm going to vote for maybe best pick in the draft this year. Where you got him. How can you not trust that kid at this point?
I had to. I think
everyday play, dude.
In fairness, I think some of the Taysom Hill thing was a little bit of gamesmanship.
Okay.
He put him in there, but that's a serious. I mean, I think that's a serious conversation. Is Pittsburgh good enough to block a QB? And then when you feel like you have a quarterback that can score against Pittsburgh, you feel like you maybe have something.
I guess now that that's happened, I'm thinking, to me, I feel like, especially with his running ability and all this stuff, I'm like Josh Allen, where you got him, is kind of a
I think Josh Allen,
four.
There's a good chance.
Can you go top 4? Can you go top 5?
Josh Allen is going to be an Avenger for a few years to come, I would imagine.
So solid pick.
As probably will Jonathan Taylor. Maybe he was the throw-in of that Zeke deal. But we digress. Getting to 170 was a good number. Would not been enough to get the Zorros this week. Had there been different matchups, Zorros put together a fucking monster off paper. Still doesn't beat. I hold the unofficial record for highest score on a bye week with 215, 216 one week. I lost the next week in the semis, if that matters. We're not jinxing anything.
You know, and it's not really
the sound of that.
It's not really a jinx, because if you're putting up, the most points in the league on any particular week, it's because you have talent on your team.
I like your chances, man. It is.
It's because you have talent on your team. Joel, I don't want to see you. Go to sleep. Go away. Go on vacation.
I did not want to face the Pimps in the semifinals, but I don't take this. This isn't bulletin board material.
Yeah.
But we're glad we're not facing the Zorros this week.
I am too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm happy to play. It makes for great web vision.
It does, for sure. Let's talk a little bit about the other side of the bracket. And we did lead with I'm a Loser by Beck, the losers bracket. The first game, the Sin, one of the better performances of the year, put up 125, knocking off Young, again under 100 points. This has been a tough franchise.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, I think we can both agree you could probably put up 45 and knock off, Anyway, no. But good for them, they're moving on.
In this particular matchup, I think the big story is they both broke quarterbacks. For the Sin, dime a dozen. I think this is the 7th or 8th quarterback he's started, which I don't know if you're in fantasy leagues across the country, but that's a lot of fucking quarterbacks in one season.
It's crazy. It's crazy to think that he's owned like that many. To think of how many divisions there are, how many actually starting quarterbacks there are, how many would be available, how many got hurt. Like Corey's must have been bouncing around all year.
It's been unbelievable. So it's been a little bit of a curse there. On the Young side, losing to Deshaun Watson. Hopefully it's not long-term. That has been a pillar of his franchise. He is pairing that with Saquon Barkley next year. There is hope for the future with that franchise. But this team doesn't look awesome.
No, and they're going into a battle right now next week, which would be the Blue Balls.
We'll get to they play for 2 weeks. We'll get to that a little bit later in the show.
He's going to be nervous without his main quarterback. I mean,
the other matchup, the Titans knock off OBJYN again. Pretty much of a smash.
Yeah, that's a lay down loner.
Lamar Jackson, 39. That's a big sign. He's wondering where that was all year. That was something that probably carried him to a championship the year before. Lamar Jackson showed up for 39. Bodes well for his chance to get the first overall pick. Eckler coming back. Allen, like he had Davis was probably the waiver. If we're talking about waiver wire pickers of the year, I think Mike Davis is probably the pickup for the Titans. If we're talking about that kind of thing,
Absolutely.
On the OBJ side, we've talked for weeks about him having a bright future with a lot of picks early in the draft next year and then some young talent. He had 7 players on his bench score 0 points. He had 7 players on his starting roster score single digits or less. Cam Akers went off for a big number. Again, a sign for the future. Again, a lot of those zeros were injuries. Injured guys he couldn't put on the IR, but is thinking about keeping. It's not as bad as it looks, but boy, that's a tough week.
It's a tough week, but I think what you just said is accurate. Is it's not as bad as it looks. If you dig into what's really going on there, he's given up this year. He's got a shit ton of picks in rounds that he's going to make.
And he's going to have.
He's got Cam Akers as like there's building blocks
Antonio
here.
Gibson,
There's building
McLaurin,
blocks here for him to just really get after it with keepers in late rounds or biddable players, whatever it might be. He's got the value to do it though.
He needs
and
to nail a
early
superstar
round
like
picks.
Dalvin Cook or Derrick Henry.
I love it.
If that team had a superstar, yeah, they did get rid of Dalvin Cook and Derrick Henry. Thank you, Gary. Speaking of Gary, we're about to get to predictions. Gary had done a great service for the Logjam in starting to put a spreadsheet together of picks in Logjam history. Something that we pretend to do every week, but we don't actually track. Our budget for production is not well. Gary volunteered.
Make shit up and
we appreciate that. Gary, why don't you get on the show, get on camera here. We'll talk about some of what you learned about predictions for the year.
It's tough.
Yeah, it is tough. It's fucking ridiculous.
Gambling is hard.
It is. It's even harder when you're talking about fantasy football, where you're trying to predict the performance of individual performance within massive game plans and all these moving parts. Fantasy football is basically stupid.
And this has probably been.
Although Darren seems to have your number, maybe you should ask him what he thinks.
This has been the most difficult year, I think, of any, especially with COVID-19 in 2020, and you losing players to other than injury. It's been the most manageable oriented year that I can remember. You're not.
But imagine NBA fantasy basketball 1991 having Magic Johnson as a keeper, HIV.
Yeah.
Who would have predicted that?
Well, you might have, since
were you sitting in left field ever? Where the fuck did that come? That Magic Johnson in '91 NBA. This is not.
Saying, you were probably playing fantasy basketball back in '91, Tom.
Nobody would have guessed that, but except maybe you, because you were sleeping with him.
My ADD is way.
I'm HIV negative.
All right, let's get to predictions. So you're saying for the year
that it didn't happen.
You're saying for the year, Darren is out predicting me?
Well, yeah, especially after you gave him 2 bye weeks by not predicting anything at all. Just to let you guys know, I texted them to make picks as well, even though I knew they weren't doing a pod, and nobody got back to me. So
that was a P? I thought it was a D.
You guys should make some dicks.
Yeah, I'm not gonna respond to that.
It did seem awkward.
Yeah, then it had the link that it was like, okay, this is gonna be the black dude.
No, they did send dicks.
That's it. That was a different thread.
Okay.
All right, that's not on the pod. So I guess we're not going to talk at all about predictions. We're just going to start talking about the losers bracket games. Gary's going to help us pick the games for the rest of the show.
Sure.
Let's talk about the 2-week matchup. The Blue Balls game, OBJ versus Young and Confused. They get to play for 2 weeks. The best part about them having incredibly shitty rosters is this train wreck.
Oh yeah, this is going to be fun to watch. Even this is the only. Well, I guess if you're playing for first overall, there's some joy to watch. But this is fun to watch. This, just to watch who's going to have to wear them, who's going to have to. If you don't bring, you get fined. Your names. And trust me, I know. I'm not think I'm the only 2-time champ of these as well. But it's coming for you, Merci, or it's coming for you, Young and Confused. So get after it. Good luck to both of you, and you don't want to wear them.
So is it a 2-week cumulative score?
Cumulative score. ESPN doesn't score it, so we have to do
Sidetrack it.
So typically, that's a fun part of the championship weekend is someone having to do the math on the cumulative score, like minus 17.3.
They both sucked this past week.
Oh, buddy. Well, for most of the year.
Yeah, but especially this past week.
Yes.
Because Merci actually had a little run where he had 125 points like 5 out of 6 weeks. Like
You got up to 148 or 145.
Yeah.
Like, we talked about it a little earlier in the show. We have been seeing good signs on this roster. They just all evaporated this week. So it could be a very low scoring. It'd be fun if neither team got to 100 in 2 weeks. That would be.
So you want to do a prediction on this?
I think that's the premise of the show. What we normally do. We did bring Gary on to maybe predict first. Who do you think is going to win that 2-week matchup? Or do you want to go double down and pick week 1 and week 2 in cumulative and maybe put a little money on it?
Well, so
Mr. Predictor, Mr. It's really easy to fucking do.
I said it's really fucking hard to do. That's the first thing.
Okay.
That's literally the first thing I said.
Okay.
You know what? I just think they're even if it's future talent. I think there's more talent on Mercy's team, so I'm going to go with him winning, so he loses the blue ball, but winning like
we would win the 5th pick.
So you're thinking what you're saying is the Andrew. Your prediction would be the
Andrew gets the blue balls. Yes. I just think there's all around more talent on Mercy.
I am going to,
Please.
Okay, I'm going to also say Andrew is going to come out on top here.
Oh, so you're picking Andrew to win, which would be Steve blue balls 2 years in a row.
Yes.
Ooh.
No, Steve got blue balls last year.
No, I did. So Steve would just be the second.
No, Steve has blue balls right now.
No, he went to the Final
Steve
Four
has
last
blue
year.
balls
How do I know
because
that? I wasn't even
Steve
aware.
didn't go to the Final Four
Yes,
last
he
year.
did. Yes,
Okay.
he did. He had Delvin Cook, Derrick Henry. I remember he was facing like Benner in the playoffs. I fucking helped him like
See,
pick
this
his
is-
flex.
this is-
How do I know that?
I
You
know.
don't. I was just drunk at Evo and ran into Steve.
Because we don't have a historian on site. That's what we've been talking about this for years. We're gonna put that in the budget for next year's show. Historian. Maybe Gary's gonna
We
feel
gotta
a
quit
little
making
drinks
shit
and
up on
those
this
things.
show and get to the real.
Get to the real
truth.
facts.
Because that's what you care about.
We should have that.
Truth.
Hey, this is an important league. It is a big league. It's been around for a lot of years. We'll make sure that that's.
Aren't you the blue balls right now, dude?
Yes.
Yes. So it
Yes.
can't be Steve if it's him.
Sure. Well, Steve has the blue balls. Does have a lasting scar. You do have the little blue balls.
Yeah.
Steve didn't have.
This
I-
would be the second time he.
Steve got fined for not having the little blue balls at this meeting again.
That's just his
Because
style.
It is. Yeah, where was that again, man? I couldn't remember where that is. All right. My pick in this game, I like Steve to be the blue balls, just because of that. But I think the Deshaun Watson thing. I don't. Think
I
he
ran
comes back
drinks
from
all
that.
night.
I will take. I'll take Merci beaucoup to win that matchup.
Nice.
And
I like it.
there are.
Plus, you got some ground to make up, so you got to pick against me.
I can't. I think I have like 25 to 16. I think 25, 17. I don't think I can come
You gotta
back.
stop picking like week 9, so I don't remember.
In a losers bracket, Titans versus the Fury, two teams that you would particularly think might be playoff matchups this year. They're playing for the number 1 pick.
Well, I think it's the best matchup as far as talent in the quest for the first overall pick. So I'm excited to see this game, and I will take. I'll take. I'll let you go first.
We brought him on.
Yeah,
he's
you
gonna
go
pick first
first.
every time, except for the last time he's picking first on this game.
I like the storyline of the champion getting the first pick the next year. I just hope Billy's pick doesn't lend bias himself. 86 Celtics.
Oh, ooh. So I'd say Gary's going over there.
I'm going Poway.
Poway got a decent night from Waller tonight. I know breaking the fourth wall. We know
Fourth
they're
wall.
talking about
I knew
that.
that.
But we whatever. We do the show on Thursday night now, so we know what's happened going into week 7.
Yeah.
We know that Waller had a decent night. The Mahomes. I think I'm going to land on the Fury this week.
I will also land on Poway.
Oh, there it is. 2-1. You guys are on the opposite side again. Cardinal Sin traveling to Who's Your Daddy?
If you want to go first, Gary, take it over.
mean, I think you gotta pick Daddy. You know,
Daddy
he's,
is also my pick.
I mean, 9-4 versus 2-11. It would be. You would have to be. This would be 1,000 to 1, 100 to 1,
2,500 to 1.
2,500 to 1. This would be a pretty big number to get you to bet on Sin to win this game, huh?
No,
What do you do? 150 to 1?
I'm half drunk. I think it'd only be 4 to 1. Anything can happen in fantasy football.
All right,
I'll give you
I'll bet
4 to
you
1 right now. I'll give you 4 to 1 on $1,000 right now.
Yeah,
All right. Well, not 1,000, but I'll bet $10 on.
$10, 4 to 1. You're
Yeah.
taking this in. Got it.
So-
All right, Gary's there.
Am
That's
I-
it.
am
That is
I
it.
win
Am I-
40 from
You want 10 from that?
I'll go 20.
No, the 4 to 1 on 10.
10.
So 10. So you'd win 40 from each of us. You
I can
pay
win
us 10.
80 from 20. There you go.
All right, perfect. Well, there it
That's
is.
a good bet for you.
I mean,
In fantasy football, anything can fucking happen.
That's
so.
exactly.
yeah.
Except for
quarterbacks
the,
can break in
except for the
half.
seed
Fucking,
meeting.
yeah, except for that.
Anyway,
All right, that's gonna
we
get
should
us.
have done a shot of beer, but here we go.
That's gonna get us to the playoff
8
matchups.
shots and 2 beers.
2 beers.
We're not going there yet. We're gonna wait one more time. You can just leave that aside. I know there's a lot of angst going into that last game. I know you got some preparations. We're gonna talk about this gentleman's game. First year in the League of Gentlemen in the 12-year history, the 13th year, an expansion team is in the semifinals. The Gares at the Zorros.
Yeah. You just said it. It's an accomplishment. I think that should be acknowledged. It should be at least, looked at for a moment and said, "Wow, this is fucking a special moment in our league history where a team has come in and done incredibly well."
That being said,
Unfortunately, he's hitting the Zorros, which I'm not saying anybody. But he's running into this powerhouse. It's awesome. I can't wait to watch this game. You're talking about somebody who's come in the league and setting records as obviously rookie of the year, but
there's only one rookie, so of
yeah,
course
but I mean bigger than that. And then the Zorros, who's also bigger than that this year, as far as scored over 2,000. Like this is. I know the next matchup is me against you, but I cannot wait to watch this matchup.
Before we get to Gares, before we get to your take on your team in this game, I will say this about the two franchises. Gares probably put the best performance together. I would say probably the most points scored. Didn't finish. Like, ended up finishing 6th, but that's where you might expect a well-performing first year team to get to. Like that might be the high end. Being in second, being up there. Right. It was an incredible year out of Gares. It pales in comparison to how good of a year the Zorros had. 2025 isn't the highest points of all time, but I think the 2 or 3. I think the 2 or 3 higher scores did not win the championship.
It's actually the second highest.
But anyone else in that echelon did not win. If he wins, he would be the highest regular season score for a champion, and I think cement himself as the best team in the history of the league.
And that being said, what has historically happened to the highest scoring team in the league?
I don't want to say it out loud. Well, I'm not here to do it, but maybe. With that being said, Gary, tell us about the matchup. How do you feel?
Well, I actually feel pretty confident going in when facing a fucking dynamite team like that. I think they give Zorros a 56 to 44 chance against me. And to face a 2,000 point squad, let's call it like it is. That's a 14-2, 15-1 NFL team. You give me that much of an odds, that puts me in a chance that if he has a bad week and I have a good week, I can take it.
Yep.
So I'm hoping, Dalvin Cook, I don't think has the best matchup this week. Or wait, Dalvin Cook's your guy.
I agree. I think it was a fantastic matchup.
I was looking at your roster before the fucking game. I don't know. I just hope some of his superstars get held down and I keep the game close and maybe make a win. He is definitely the favorite, but anything can happen in fantasy football. So. And
don't get mold on your shower shoes. How many more cliches can you fucking give us, man? Are you going to win this game or not?
Scoregasms are going to take the W.
Oh, there it is! Picking himself. I love the confidence. Darren, how do you feel about the game?
It worked last time I was here.
Oh man, I gotta believe this. I gotta believe if you show up for a pod and you put in, like I'm going with the score guys.
I love it. I need to catch up, and this should be a game I should catch up on. Game. There is no chance for the rest of the year. I am picking against the Zorros.
No.
The Zorros have the best team.
Absolutely.
I am picking the Zorros.
Absolutely. I guess
There's not much left, man. Yeah, I guess it's just that. I guess it's just
Let's get to the Pimps
Pimps
and Avalon.
and Avengers.
Yeah.
Via the bye, you have the home field matchup
Yep.
in the crazy event. And if it ended up in a 2 places after the decimal point tie, you would win the game based on home field matchups. So there is a little bit of advantage to being home. Congratulations for that.
Well, I appreciate that.
But this is what it's all about.
Oh, this is what it's all about, and I'm excited. We've done this pod for 3 years now, and there's moments in each year where we see each other in the regular season, and it's like, hey, this is
a bit of a tense pod. The first year it was tougher.
But these are the moments. These are the moments when you're in the playoffs, you're in the Final Four, and you're trying to get to that semis. You're trying to cement your team on the trophy. There's so much history behind this league. These are important moments,
and Joel's not here, so I think that bodes well for us 3.
I agree. well, for at least 2 of the 3.
It can only bode well for 2 of the 3 of us
Yeah.
by proxy.
You never know. You never know with COVID. It could be a 3-way tie right now.
But I would say this.
kick
I
him
would
out
say
for
good
not
luck on the win. Good luck on the win.
You're gonna try some fucking crazy bullshit.
But I would say this. Normally we go around this. The Pimps are gonna roll this week. It's just how.
He just goes right into it. But I think before we get to our guest picker, I guess that would be my take on it. I see absolutely, man. Your team is so much better than mine. Those guys all have incredible matchups. I think you'll probably break 200 points this week. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
I think the Pimps are taking this for sure. There's just no way my roster's good enough to beat yours.
Well, on a normal week, I would agree with you. But this week, we're what's that Herb Brooks speech? 9 out of 10 times, but not this time. This time we're better. No, the numbers show. You look at the percentages. You should win this game. And
it's a 50-50. This is
it's not
unbelievable.
50-50.
That this ESPN
it's
win
not
percentage
50-50.
thing by
It's
the
not
fucking way.
50-50.
Yeah, 56-44, and that changed. Like Banner was up 63 to 37.
At this
fuck
point,
that.
you're
ESPN win
supposed to
probability
win this
is fucking
game. Is what I'm
bullshit.
saying. You're favored to win this game.
No.
You're supposed to win this game. Anything other than that would be disappointing.
0% chance.
So
I win
we're
it.
coming from the bottom.
I mean, if you thought I was going to win, you would have picked me. You think you're going to win.
Yes.
I think you're going to win. Congratulations. All that matters. Gary, who do you think's going to win?
Well, last time I was here, it was actually...
Was it?
It was Avalon Pimps week. I picked
That's
Pimps
crazy.
and Avalon.
You gotta go.
Oh, are you going to show some favorites? Little City Hall favorites?
You lost. Last time you lost.
Well, exactly.
What are you
So
going to do?
I
Reverse pick it? You going to pick it?
I consider Brouillet my rival because we talk
Already? I like that. I appreciate that.
And I
I mean,
consider...
you're like my 4th or 5th rival. I appreciate
and-
that. I like being your rival.
Yeah,
It's
like-
cool that you can be in my top 5 rivals in a 10-team league.
And
it's cool
consider-
that he can't butt rape you like Ezekiel Elliott trades right now.
Oh, not yet. Zeke has some time on the clock.
He was running back 2 before Dak Prescott went down. Just saying.
I know he was.
Next year.
So we'll see.
But he butt raped.
So
Jonathan Taylor.
we'll see. We'll see who their quarterback is next year.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to give some props to Darren here because
I know, because you're
No,
loving
don't do
the City
that.
Hall
No,
guy. Yeah, give me it.
We're not necessarily friends.
no.
We're in the same conference, so
Yes.
because of that,
There's no conferences.
I'm gonna try and reverse some juju, and I'm gonna pick Avalon and hope Darren defeats you.
Yes.
Wow, just landing just goes open with it.
Yes.
These motherfuckers.
We needed that.
That's why they call it Shitty Hall.
So I guess all of us picked. So we'll I mean I guess that's it. I guess nobody wants me to win. So I'll be the antagonist.
Well, you want you to win?
I mean I guess that's it.
That's strong though. The force is with you.
I don't know. He's a 2-time champion. I think that would even things up. I think the first 3-time champion would be an incredible feat.
It would be awesome, but I also think that For some reason, I feel like the force on the other side is the first-time champion forces. Like I hope. I hope
the winner of that game
obviously
gets this?
one of us is going to get there. I just feel like that side of the force.
It'll be an interesting matchup on both sides this week, and an incredible matchup next week, no matter what happens.
Yep.
Guys, thanks for watching. Speaking of loyal viewers, guess who I'm playing golf with tomorrow?
Tiger Woods.
No, James Inbrey, our number one fan and loyal follower, James, coming out to play golf next week. If you guys want to golf, want to be in the pod, yeah, for sure. Like,
love you, James.
Absolutely.
Love you, brother.
Jay he is one of our longtime followers. You'll meet him
brother.
at some point. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into the Jam. We'll see you next week. We might have a little earlier in the weeks next week, potentially.
Championship week.
Christmas episode, championship week.
We should. We'll put together something for you.
But outside of that, man, it's that time.
Thank you for watching.